to people or not to people? What a question. This has been a year of stepping out of my comfort zone, especially in the realm of being around or working with other humans. I didn't really set out for it to be that, but it just sort of happened. And you may recall that random time that I said I had booked something else, like, yay for me, learning how to book things in advance, woo, growth, all that stuff. Well, what I booked was a photo retreat. I believe that's what they're calling them. I've seen this kind of stuff crop up a lot in the last few years, along with like fantasy balls and such. Basically, a bunch of people get together in a lovely location with a fabulous photographer and a whole bunch of costumes, and then you take a crap load of incredible photos. Also, you socialize. The photos are the easy part. I'm good with photos. It's the socializing that is gonna be interesting. You are so beautiful. Do you want to socialize? Mommy's coming to you. Oh, upside downies. So the retreat I signed up for is with Elizabeth Roberts, who I've been following for years. Her work is stunning. I've been wanting to do one of her sessions or weekends or retreats for a really long time, but they're not as commonly near my area, so booking them feels like more of a big thing, and I immediately get all hermity and chicken out. But I guess I was on a high from booking the whole England trip, because when I saw her announce a retreat in New York, I went for it and immediately applied. Often the themes are like pirate or hobbit or rococo, but this is one of her story style retreats with actual characters. It's a Midsummer Night's Dream, which is possibly what grabbed me, because I did the costume, makeup, and wig design for A Midsummer Night's Dream my senior year of college and did some really fun stuff with it. So before I let my brain become absolutely consumed by thoughts of hanging out with a whole group of, safe to assume, amazing people for 3 days, I have to figure out my costume. Yay! I have been cast as a fairy in Titania's court. Our color palette is very faded colors, very light on pigment. We are supposed to have shorter dresses, and the vibe is very ethereal, floaty, organza, sheer, ooh la la. So I had a dress design that, prior to getting all this information, sort of immediately came forward as something I could do, but it would end up being a long dress, and I think it would look best in this material over here, which is like a nude beige, but it's a little heavier or darker of a nude color. I think it's too much color for what she's wanting. So I do have some cream tulle and this like really massive sheer white curtain that I could use, but I think I'm gonna go to Remainders and see if I can find any fabric or even like trim or stuff that's in more of like the silver hue, or just something other than the white version of this color palette. I already have to go to Remainders anyway to make a donation, so I might as well see what they've got. Okay, let's go. Okay, so Remainders was successful-ish. Hello. You're so precious. Oh, good sits. You're so needy today. He's been very needy lately because Matt is in Brazil. Oh, are we just gonna do this now? Anyway, I did not really find anything silver like I was hoping for at Remainders, so I decided to just go with the cream white kind of color. I can use some of the stuff I already have, but also I found this. Oh, this is an uncomfortable position. And then I also, just because I happened to find it there, got some nude materials, because this is sheer, and I think the dress I'm gonna end up making will be sheer. So either I can do like a lining underneath it, or I can just make myself undergarments that blend in. I got a bunch of lace in that cream style that goes with it. There's 3 different kinds. I'm not entirely sure how I'm planning to use this. We'll find out. But then I was at Joann afterward, because I just had to be, and I found this in their clearance, like last chance clearance section. I would not have gotten it if it was not as cheap as it could possibly be there. I mean, it's silver, it's sparkly, it's leaves. It kind of seems perfect for this whole vibe, but I don't think it goes with the creamy whites because the silver is on a white tulle, and silver is so bright that when you put it with a cream, it just doesn't really look right. So yeah, I don't really know what my plan is here because I don't think I can use this in conjunction with this. But theoretically, I could use this itself just over something nude, and I do have other materials. I gotta figure out what my plan is here. I do basically have an idea of the style of dress I want to make.
Oh, Mr. Squish. Look at the squishy booty.
Are we both needy today? So I wanted to make something fairly simple because I don't have a lot of time to dedicate to this, but also I wanted to make something that's really easily talking is great today. Easily adjustable so that in the future it can either be reworked or easily reworn or even just passed on to someone else regardless of what size they are. Because yeah, I'm making a garment for one photo shoot, so I want to make sure it can potentially be reused in some way. So I thought, what if I just basically make a circle and hang the dress off of it, like a strapless dress, sort of tent style, maybe like sort of high-low, so there's a bit more drapey in the back. But this could just be on either a drawstring or elastic, so it's easy to pull up over the boobs and fit on theoretically anyone. Then I could potentially make like arm cuffs to go with it. And at first I was thinking you could just do this out of a panel of fabric, gather it down, something sheer and floaty, so the whole thing is floaty. But then I did see something on Instagram the other day that gave me some inspiration. I'll see if I can find the photo. And I was like, you could do that in the style of the dress you were thinking of. Different panels, almost like petals, and this is why I was thinking it'd be cool to use different fabrics. But like, instead of just one sheet here, what if like it was all sort of different panels? That is not very easy to tell what I'm talking about, but like even the arm cuffs could be different petals of fabric. I could edge some of them with the lace, or I can put the lace around the top here and use it to connect these things. I could potentially do like an add-on strap of some kind if it feels like it's gonna fall off of me. That's the basic concept, but I think I can just make a panel for the front and a panel for the back of the dress. Cut out and layer these fabrics. I can even just leave the hems rough, potentially. Yeah, we're gonna try that. Let's see how it goes. I started by pulling out all my materials that could go with both colorways, the cream one and the silver bright white one. Before I was even done, I had already committed to the cream. Although I have some great silver and bright white material, it's all a little too shiny and standouty, giving main character energy, you could say, and the fairy court are technically side characters. I do have a nice variety of textures and tones here, so I started laying them out over each other to see how they would affect each other, and then got a little overwhelmed by all of it, as one does. Puppy. An idea. Turned out playing around with this pair of curtains was a great way to get the old creative tornado spinning, and I ended up with an option I liked so much that I had to do an impromptu photo shoot. Right? Like, basically just this, but it needs to be shorter. Yeah, this could definitely work, only now I kind of don't want to use these curtains because I just realized these could go in my studio and they would look super cute. Should I go test that? I got distracted because here's another option. Not right for this because it's floor length and it's a little like too Greek and not floaty enough. But y'all, I should just play around with curtains more. I really don't want to cut these up. It seems like you could do a lot with them. I have tons of other stuff to cut up though. Never did end up trying them on my studio window. Oh well, I don't need curtains in there anyway. Hello! You're stepping on my foot. Just for the funsies of it? Do you need attentions? Do you wanna jump? Oh, big stretch. Yeah. So this is kind of cool. Again, I don't think it's exactly what she's wanting for our role as the fairy, but I totally forgot I had this gold corset and it's perfect with this. Only not. I don't know. I'll probably send her a picture of this, but I don't think this is right. So I'm not gonna cut up these curtains because they very easily turn into a Grecian dress, I guess, sort of. But now I should get back to what I was doing. Let's try to make the actual dress, yeah? Distraction! I mean, this wasn't distraction. This was creative testing. After getting some basic measurements, I decided to do this in one panel with a seam up the back instead of in two. So I marked out the general shape and size on the floor with painter's tape, and then started layering fabrics, doing a base of tulle and the main fabric first, and then building up panels or petals or whatever you want to call them of the other fabrics on top. Once I was decently satisfied with the layering, I sewed all the material together around the top, and then stood very still for a very long time, trying to decide if I should steam it before moving on. The amount of time I'll dedicate to deciding if I want to turn on the iron is a bit counterproductive. Yeah, okay. Once I had it somewhat steamed and turned into a tube, I added one last petal over that back seam so it won't really show, then turned over the top and sewed a channel in there. It's pretty bulky right now, so I think I'll end up taking this out and doing it another way later, but I just wanted to test how poofy the whole thing is once it's gathered to the right size. Okay. Oh yeah, this is gonna be very thick. There were numerous annoyances as I strung a cord through that channel. I think I opened the safety pin, went through some threads, and then managed to close it again. What's up? Not much. Okay. But at last, I could test it. And y'all, she's poofy. Also, I don't like it. Okay, I think that's enough for today. I'm gonna give this some thought, and we'll come back to it. I ended up playing around a little bit more with it after that, and that didn't help. I hate it. Ah, nuts. Ugh. We're gonna try again tomorrow. Good morning. So yesterday was basically a bust. That dress did not work for reasons I should have realized in advance. It was far too thick in layers while being far too straight. So then when you gathered it up, what I ended up with was a fairly tight tube with no like flow or anything to it, and then just a lot of bulk up at the top. So unfortunately, that one's getting recycled and I'm starting over today. I liked the curtain dress so much better, so I think I'm gonna go back to that. I still don't wanna cut up that fabric. I love how that looked. So I'm gonna either use my sheer curtain that I have here or the new fabric that I bought from Remainders. And instead of doing just straight panels, I think I am gonna do it as a circle so that it has more flow to the bottom of it. And of course I'm gonna make it shorter as I need to. Also, I checked in with the photographer and she said we're actually avoiding gold on the fairies, so I can't use that corset, as people would prefer if I said it, which is fine. I didn't originally want to tighten the middle. I just wanted everything to be flowy, but I might do some sort of like rope or even fabric braiding kind of sash that I could wrap around if I do want that cinched in look. Anyway, basically I'm gonna start over. I'm gonna cut some circle panels, gonna still do like the high-low hem, I think, and then literally just make a channel at the top and string them onto the cord like I was doing with the curtains yesterday and add some lace and stuff. I don't know, but that's basically it. And I think I'm just gonna work in silence. Well, I'll probably turn on some music, but like I'm just gonna try to plow through that. This project is giving me the feels, or it's giving me weird brain, I should say. I felt so blah about it yesterday, and then I was annoyed with myself for feeling blah about it, and I had to take a step back and examine why I felt blah about it, which very quickly is extremely evident. It's not, you know, making a dress itself, it's basically the overwhelming anxiety, I guess, about being around people. I don't know, I've always felt weird labeling my social anxiety as social anxiety because I grew up around people who exhibited traits of anxiety very differently than I do. And since I don't exhibit my anxiety in that way, I was always like, well, you just don't have it then. You don't have it. It doesn't look like that. But the reality is that, yes, it's social anxiety. It's just that for me, it's all very, very internal. And the way that I exhibit it is very sort of monotone in expression, I guess. I don't know. But it is that. It really is. It's hard for me to be excited about this project right now, and that's okay. That's to be expected for me. And that's why signing up for this in the first place was so out of my comfort zone. And this has nothing to do with the event itself. It has nothing to do with the people who will be there. Yes, there are situations that are a little more difficult for me. Like, first of all, this isn't 1 or 2 or 3 people. It's like 15 or 20? There's a lot of us. It's not, 2 hours, it's 3 days. Everyone is a complete stranger. I've never met any of these people before. And it's also a situation that is out of my control or that I'm not in charge of. I actually do better around people when I am in a position of leadership, which is a whole interesting thing that we could discuss someday on the second channel. But yeah, there's little things about this event that are going to make it more difficult for me, but it's not like the fault of the event. I signed up for it because I want to do this, and because I think it's very good and almost necessary for me to do things like this, especially as I get older, especially now that I have a job that does not require me to be around people anymore. The thing that I kind of finally realized and put into words in my own brain is that when I'm going to be around people, kind of in any way, shape, or form, and this can go for literally anyone except maybe people that I am very, very close to, I know in advance that I will feel bad afterward. Not necessarily bad while it's happening. Like, I will have fun while I'm there, but I will feel bad when it's over. Not because it's over, but because of what I did there. Yeah? Like, does this make sense? It makes sense if you have this. So when your brain knows that, like, hey, if you do that thing, you're gonna feel bad when it's done, then the logical thing is for your brain to be like, so how about we just don't do that thing? Which is what makes it kind of harder and harder for me to require myself to be around other humans, to meet new people, to socialize. The other flip side of that is that if I continue to never, ever, ever be around people, I will feel bad about that as well. But it's almost one of those the devil you know kind of things. Like, I'm very used to and pretty comfortable with any sort of negative feeling that comes from being alone for long stretches of time, whereas I am much less used to and much less comfortable with the negative feelings that come after being around people. This got into a whole thing. Anyway, this is my point that like, it's not even necessarily the closer the event comes. Like, I'm pretty good at ignoring stuff that's coming up until it's actually happening. But right now I'm having to work on something for the event, which means that my brain is thinking about that. It's thinking about what's gonna happen and how I'll react to it, and it's thinking about all of that. And so it's a little hard for me to be like excited about making a fun dress because I'm just like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. But that's okay. Again, it is okay. I recognize that I need to feel bad. Right? I need to be around people and experience that and have the negative feelings afterward, which I will be able to talk myself through, and it'll all be okay as long as I have a dress to wear. I love you. So much better. Oh my goodness. This is what I was picturing in my head. I just did it totally the wrong way the first time. So I kind of put some knots where the gathering should stop so that hopefully it'll stay in those places. But then I can wear it either kind of on the shoulders like this, and it basically stays, it's just right for my shoulder length. Or if I just don't want to worry about that, I can pop it up like that. And it's a little easier. Very sheer, all the more so on the sides here, because of course all the gathering is in the front, which is why I'm gonna make myself nude undergarments to go underneath it. But I really love the sheer feeling for a fairy. It's delightful. Also, if I want to spread that out more, I'm trying to decide if I want to secure it all. Like, this is kind of amazing, just like this, and I might just go with this. But I could also use like more cord or some of the lace to secure it. I tried out a couple different options. I could also make myself some sort of corset securing like the gold one, but in a color that fits the color palette better. I have several weeks still till this is coming up, so my main concern was having a base dress that is done and ready to go, and I can keep playing with accessories and stuff over the next several weeks. Last thing I'm gonna do on this is just hem it. I think I'm going to use some of the lace that I got around the entire hem, assuming I have enough, just so that I don't have to turn anything under and it stays really light. But then there's also like the little hint of lace on the bottom. So yeah, I'll do that. I'll make myself some undergarments and then I'll keep playing around. This is so fun to swoosh. Oh my goodness. So full! See y'all, when it's right, you know it's right. The last one was so not right, and this is right. I'll catch up with you when it's time to go, I guess, and we'll see how the socializing goes. Wish me luck! Well, this is dramatic lighting. Hello from Philadelphia. I'm gonna hold my mic because it's super loud here. Not Philadelphia as a whole, I just happen to be like downtown. This is not where the retreat is. The retreat is like middle of nowhere, New York, but I realized when I was booking the flights that the drive was pretty much the same if I flew into Philadelphia as it was if I flew into JFK. And I also realized that I have not been back to New York since we moved away, and I have weird feelings about it. So Philly it was! Also, I've never been to Philly before. Have I been to Philly before? Please hold. Ah, no I haven't. I've been to Pittsburgh. So I got here a day early so I could do a little bit of exploring of Philadelphia before I road trip my way on up to wherever the retreat was. Is it bad that I don't remember right now? It's fine. It's all in the phone. I booked this really cool hotel. It's called the Guild House. That is, I won't go into it, very historical. And it's like walking distance to some of the stuff that people suggested I should see. So I'm just gonna go stroll around today and see what I can see. I strolled my way right to Reading Terminal Market for food, my favorite, and then of course I found an embroidery store nearby. Rittenhouse Needlepoint was a delight. I got stuff. Oh boy, did I ever get stuff. There's definitely a video in the works for that. After that, I wandered towards Independence Hall, looked upon the Liberty Bell, got lunch at PJ Clark's, took a brief tour where the tour guide just kinda screamed information at us, that was fun, admired the nearby architecture. I'll be honest though, it was super hot and I was quickly being drained by the sun, so that did it for my one-day Philly exploration. Good stop in Philly? Let's drive to New York. I'm actually picking up 2 people on the way, so social times are starting now. Despite having lived in New York for a year, wanna guess what year it was? I have spent absolutely no time exploring the New England area in my life, which is unfortunate considering how absolutely gorgeously green and mountainous it is. The retreat location itself was tucked in the curve of a babbling brook, enveloped by ivy-choked trees and surrounded in mountains that took on shrouds of fog every morning. Also, did I mention it came with a waterfall? Y'all know how much I adore waterfalls, right? I was thrilled. It was a good waterfall too, one with lots of big flat rocks you could easily climb up and around. No sooner had we arrived than I was off, out in the woods, up the side of the waterfall, and rock hopping my way down the brook until I reached the quite creepy source of the water. It was pretty rainy and drizzly the whole weekend, though not enough to ruin the retreat plans and the photo shoots, so the second morning the waterfall had somehow tripled in size. It was absolutely lovely to just sit up there reading, go wading through the surprisingly not cold water, and stare at the fascinating rocks and moss. All of the actual Midsummer Night's Dream photo shoots happened in the late evening and at night, and I'm very excited to see those photos. But I was also able to grab a new friend and do solo photo shoots at the falls during the day, and it was a blast. I got soaking wet. We took no video footage, so here's just a quick look at some of the photos. So the nature was stunning and the photos were fun, but what about the socializing? Not so good. Within like an hour of arriving, I was already overwhelmed and overstimulated and kind of thinking the whole thing was a giant mistake. In fact, I texted Matt, I think this was a mistake. And again, I want to be clear that this is not at all a reflection of the retreat itself or any of the people there. Every single person there was so lovely, so much fun, such a cool person, and seeing them all be creative together and support each other and encourage each other was absolutely amazing. But I realized that I have not been in a situation like this where I'm around this many people. I think there were 22 of us total for this long of a time, you know, it was 3 days and overnight sleeping in the same rooms since probably college. I guess you could maybe say cruise ship life was basically this, although that was like a weird combo of both work and socializing at the same time. But yeah, that also was really, really bad for me. Either way, the last time that I interacted with human beings in this way, I was still heavily masking, and that's how I survived it. That's how I convinced not only other people, but myself that I was having fun, that this was all okay, that this was great stuff. It was by putting on a mask or performing a curated version of myself. And I've reached a point in my life now, and a point with my journey with autism, my discovery of it, my analyzation of it, my understanding and acceptance of it, that I don't want to mask anymore. I am trying to mask as little as possible. But the mask was a protective layer between me and other humans. The mask was how I got through 6 months of literal, unending, constant human interaction while being fine the whole time. If I choose not to mask nowadays, then I no longer have that protective layer, and I am very aware of the fact that I'm not fine. Why do I have mosquito bites? I'm not in the woods anymore. Anyway, all of that to say, before I just went running off in the woods to make a new home as the troll under the bridge where I could be alone forever, I found a kindred spirit among the attendees, and being in a similar mental space, we were able to support each other in making decisions, making choices that would help us not only survive the retreat, but hopefully enjoy it. Mainly, we chose to leave the group setting and book our own hotel room 5 minutes away in town. And this worked wonders because it just meant that at the end of every day, we could step away from everyone else to a place that was quiet and private, where we could unwind, recharge, get a really good night's sleep. And having that quiet time for ourselves meant that we were better able to appreciate everyone, enjoy everyone's company, participate in everything during the day, and have a good time. There is really truly such a joy in getting to know yourself and your brain as an adult when you have agency to make the choices, to make decisions that are going to be helpful for you, rather than, as a kid when you can't always do that, or even as a young adult. I couldn't even do that a lot of times. And it's really nice that nowadays I can look around and go, this is what I need to do in order for this to work for me. So I am really glad that I booked the retreat. I'm glad that I tried it. I think it would have been wiser to start with something a little smaller, either in number of people or in length of time, or both. But you know what? We live and we learn. And I learned some stuff this weekend about myself. And now I am in Montreal, Canada for a bit of quieter and more comfortable socializing with, someone you may know who lives in Montreal. Later, taters. Chicken, otter, whale. We got a menagerie in here. What did you find? Doors slamming. Are you just buried because you have special abilities to disappear? Did I even start recording? I did. It's the light in the eyes of my children. It's the sound of their laughter.